and our honor and our glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching the truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom. To you Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, to you Akwafim, to listen and learn under your husband or your spiritual leader and have come back to the fold. Shalom. Yeah, this your brother Aram Yehowadah with the lesson.
The Jews today, who the black Israelites say are not really Jews.
Imposters, yeah.
Right, they're imposters, but something like the Exodus is still fundamental to their identity. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering how those people, the imposters, could remember this thousands of years later, but somehow, until what, the late 1800s, you don't have the African-American community, the slave community in the South in the days, the Civil War, post-Civil War. Mm-hmm. That seems to be when, again, somebody, quote-unquote, remembers this. I mean, what about all this long stretch of history, from antiquity till now? It seems like nobody was talking about this. I don't know I don't know how the imposters, it becomes part of their identity and nobody forgets it because it's just core.
Right.
And then the ones that are supposed to be the true Israelites, nobody remembers it at all until the 19th century.
I've asked similar questions, and so a few things happened. One is they point back to a book we went through earlier, which is From Babylon to Timbuktu, which gives them an alternative history, a revisionist history, that basically tries to show you all these places where this idea did pop up or was evident or was relevant.
Somebody was remembering it somewhere.
Yeah, or they'll say, here's evidence to it. They would. Some folks would challenge what you just said, or that's not how it worked anyway. Yah's always had a remnant or a testimony to his people or something like that. So
that's not good enough? Somebody somewhere was remembered. That's still not good enough.
I say. Another thing people do, they'll say is, well, you don't understand as a non-sympathetic, non-person of color, this is sometimes the way people approach it, how bad slavery was and how our identity and culture and language was ripped away so very thoroughly. And so a lot of the explanation lies in sort of what happened at the transatlantic slave trade, which is true, but it doesn't equal it was ripped away from a Hebraic identity, of course. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean it's ripped away from a Hebraic. But then who identity was ripped away then? Who are we? Because you're not giving us that. Right? You're not giving us that. You're giving us bullshit. You're just saying, oh yeah, just be happy you're African. Okay. You know how many countries and all this other stuff that's in Africa? So you're not giving me anything. Right? At all. And that seems more like us. When was the so-called Jewish, who so-called have all this knowledge of knowing who they are, when did they go on slave ships? When did a nation that they didn't know from far, as swift as the eagle, come and get them? Oh, you might want to say Hitler. Oh, Hitler was swift as the eagle, because remember the Nazis, they had the eagle. I mean, God damn. I mean, you don't even use that in your history. You don't. You know what I mean?
Equal that, but usually it's one of those. But really, Hebrew Israelism, I view it as a restorationist movement. They're saying here was the original gospel with the original people of the book, and that's been lost this whole time, and now we need to be restored to what that was. Mm-hmm. Just like Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses, it's lost, and here it is again. I view Hebrew Israelism so very thoroughly, and so a lot of the explanation lies in sort of what happened at the transatlantic slave trade, which is true, but it doesn't equal, it was ripped away from a Hebraic identity, of course. Mm-hmm. It doesn't equal that, but usually it's one of those. But really, Hebrew Israelism, I view it as a restorationist movement. They're saying here was the original gospel with the original people of the book, and that's been lost this whole time, and now we need to be restored to what that was. Mm-hmm. Just like Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses, it's lost, and here it is again. I view Hebrew Israelism in that vein to an extent, in my opinion, as a restorationist movement of sorts. So there's that. So that's the first thing. Another thing I'll do is I'll say, okay, before we read these curses, what do you think is one of the worst things that befell Israelites, isn't it that they would lose their very identity of who they were? And usually they agree to some statement like that. It seems like the worst thing. I'll say, okay, in this list of curses we're about to look at, can you show me where that curse is listed?
Oh, so the curse of losing your identity is not present in
Never
the curses,
even promised anywhere in Scripture. Nothing like that is ever shown in Scripture. So if we're going to look at this list of curses, can you show me where that curse specifically was mentioned? And it's not in there. So sometimes, though, what they do is go to Jeremiah 17:4.
Yeah.
And in the CSB, it says, you will on your own relinquish your inheritance. Again, they'd like the KJV rendering better, but they look at it as, hey, you're going to lose your inheritance. In Jeremiah 17:4, it's promised our identity to be stripped away. Now, the inheritance really has to do with the land and the related promises. And you can see that in other passages.
Sure.
And there in Jeremiah 17:4, you can even see it if you read through the whole passage, that it's not, because it even says right after it, that I gave you. It literally says it right after it. I will make you serve your enemies in a land you do not know.
He did not give them the laws. The laws have nothing to do with the land. Did he not give them the laws? See, you know what I'm saying? The laws were given, and the laws have nothing to do with the land. But the laws and the land flow together. Which, if you don't know, because when they moved Israel out and moved all them Hamitic and all them other nations in there, and they wasn't following the land Sabbaths and following the things that they were supposed to, the Lord sent lions, and then they sent Levites to teach them how to live in that land. Right? So, but the Lord gave us the law also. More, and the law, if you want to get technical, the law is not the land. Yeah, so you're saying that there's no other thing where it says that Israel's going to lose their, their memory or do the things that they've always done, right? Because a man's culture is what makes them, so this is Daniel chapter 8. I'm gonna go 8 verse 8. It says, therefore the he goat waxed very great, right? And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 noticeable ones towards the 4 winds. Now, it's Alexander the Great. He had 4 generals or 4 of his friends or people who came up with him that became their own king and got their own providence, right? Because Alexander the Great only ruled, 12 years or so? Because basically, he's that goat. Yeah, so this is Daniel's 8 and let me go 20. Daniel chapter 8 verse 20. The ram which thus sawest, having 2 horns, are the kings of Media and Persia, right? Because the way Daniel saw the vision, of the 4 beasts that will rule before the restoration of the whole world, not just of Israel. It's going to be the restoration of the entire world. And the rough goat is the king of Greece, right? Or Greco, or Greek. Or I don't know if you call it Greca of Greca. right? Which is Greece, Greece. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. What? Right? First Maccabees, chapter 1, because they try to make Maccabees seem insignificant, or the Apocrypha seem insignificant, should I say. They try to make the Apocrypha seem insignificant, but I'm going to show you right here why it's very significant. And it came in it, and it happened after Alexander, the son of Philip, a Macedonian, right? But you trace the Macedonians back to what? You trace the Macedonians back to Hagag, the king, Hagag, the king of the Edomites. So the Macedonians are Edomites. That goes back to Hagag, who came out of the land of Chittim and smote Darius, the king of Persia and Medes. See how they try to make it seem like the Apocrypha is like null and void. Like you don't need to worry about the Apocrypha. But this is why, because it's lining up to it so perfectly. The Persians and the Medes, that he reigned in his stead, because he conquered them, right? It just said that. The first over Greece, right? Which would be the first king of the Greco, or Greece, or Greca, or however you want to say it. But the Greeks. The first king, which is Alexander, right? You see this shit? This is on my Bible. This is in my Bible, though. God damn. Yes. Okay. But vocab, hey, he's okay, man. He says, God damn. This is Daniel's 8, and I'm gonna go 8. Therefore, the he goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 noticeable ones, right? Because he had the 4 generals that came out of Alexander the Great towards the 4 winds of heaven, right? And out of one of them came 4 little horns, right? Which wax exceedingly great towards the south, towards the east, and towards the pleasant land, right? Which dealing with, Israel, because the Lord is telling forth the future, because it tells you how they parted the Lord's land with all joy of their heart. They got in the Lord's land, or even in Joel. Joel, was it 3 and 1, talks about how those that have in the part of the Lord's land. Yeah, so this is Ezekiel 36 and 5. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against, not for, not pro, but against the residue of the heathen. So the Lord is against all the other nations. So are you surprised that these other nations go into slavery? I mean, it's ridiculous, right? The Lord is against the residue of the heathens and against all Idumea, right, which is another way of saying Edom, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, and with joy of their heart, with the spiteful minds, Salakia, with the spiteful minds, and cast it out for a prey, right? Yeah, so this is up Ezekiel 36:5. This is what the sovereign, right, which means it's within his own power, sovereign. You don't have to answer to nobody, right? Sovereign Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, says, in my burning zeal, I have spoken against, not for, against the rest of the nations. Ooh. Not against Israel, but against the rest of the nations, and against all Idumea? No, Edom. So Idumea is what? Another way of saying Edom, right? So they know that. Idumea is basically Edom. It's the Greek way of saying Edom. For with glee, right, which means happiness, and with malice in their hearts, they made my land, which is the land of Israel, their own possession, so that they might plunder it. Pasture land, right? Yeah, so this is Daniel's 8 and 10. And it waxed great, even to the host of heavens, and cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground, which dealing with the Israelites, and stump upon them, right? Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, right? Because you got to deal with, they crucified the Lord, right? And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down, right? Dealing with the Most Highs, right? And I'm going to show you where the Lord spoke of this whole thing. But this is during the time that the Romans were ruling, which allow you to know that the Greeks, or the Greco or the Greeks or whatever, are the same people as those Romans, right? So this is Luke 21:20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem, right, where they were at, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, because the northern kingdom was already gone to the Americas, Arzareth, right? Whether they want to accept it, believe it or not, it's Arzareth, which is America, right? Which Christopher Columbus believed, which was a Jesuit priest who knew that's where they went to, and he knew what he was doing. That's why he had Hebrew interpreters with him to come to America, so they could have the children of Israel in slavery, so they can rule, right? every nation that ruled had the Israelites in subjection. I mean, they had all nations, but the main part is that when you have the Israelites, that's where you messed up, ultimately. So it says, yeah, and armies. It says when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, right? The Roman military, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Matter of fact, just so you know, it's talking about the same thing. This is Matthew 24:15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains, right? So it's talking about the same thing that Daniel was talking about, right? The same, pretty much the same thing. So when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, right? Then know the desolation, the abomination of desolation, right? Same thing spoken of by Daniel is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. It's in red, so this is Yahushua. Same thing it was in there, saying the exact same thing. Let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries, right? Because even back then, Israel was scattered around all around the world, right? Enter their into. So don't let them enter into. For these are the days of vengeance, right? Esau's vengeance. He wanted to take vengeance on Israel. That all things which are written may be fulfilled, right? So the things that were written may be fulfilled, right? One of the things that's written is what? The dragon was going to be what? Basically chain or whatever, but not actually chain like a physical chain, but it was spiritually chained down for 1,000 years. So that had to come into play, right? Israel had to rule for that 1,000 years, which, like, he was trying to make a joke about, oh, that's the Dark Ages, and they're trying to say that they ruled during the Dark Ages. Well, what happened? You mean? They say what's not, but don't bring in what you know what they say. Well, it's gonna be another lie. Whatever they bring in, they're gonna bring in a lie. So that's gonna get destroyed, you know, because that's where we're in the time of the lies being destroyed. So that last verse we read, it said also, don't let the people, the Israelites, come from all these other different countries come in. Don't let them come in once the armies are destroying Israel, destroying the temple, right? Right, which was spoken of by Daniel. That was what, hundreds of years before Daniel, and then the Lord prophesied roughly about 40 years before it happened. About 40 years before, like Apostle Hart say, people say 70 AD, but it really happened about what, 65 AD, right? Then 70 AD was like the major part, but just to give answer, 70 AD, right? So we know that's that. So it said, don't let those other people come in that come from the other country, which are talking about Israelites. So it says what? Now therefore there were standing in Jerusalem God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. Right? Let's read the King James version. King James, there were dwelling in Jerusalem Jews, devout men, which means God-fearing men, out of every nation under heaven. So this is what I want to ask vocab. So when they destroyed that temple, wasn't there other temples around wherever the Jews were at? It was only commanded them to come to Jerusalem 3 times a year, but they had their own temples in all the other places that they were at. So was that the only temple destroyed? When they went to wipe out the thing, didn't they wipe out all those things so they could wipe out all the pretty much all the memory of that existing? Because if that was the case, it would be a very known thing today. Because then there were temples all over the world. Where's the temple of the Jews that live in was in Antioch? Antioch was in Egypt, right? Where's the temples that were in Italy? Because Paul was a citizen of Italy or even Rome, right? There should have been old temples, and you should be able to know exactly who was in them and by their sculptures and things and what they look like, right? But remember, we got the was it the ark of Titus, where he's taking out of the temple the goodly he's taking out of the temple the gold and the silver, and then he's basically celebrating that he conquered the Israelites, right? The Jews, right? Because it was only Judah, Benjamin, and Levi that was there. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi that was there. So you're saying that there's no other thing saying that we lost our way. But there's plenty of... So obviously we lost our way. There were plenty of other places in heaven, under heaven, that the Jews were. It wasn't just Jerusalem. So why don't you ever speak about that? You make it seem like it was only Jerusalem that got sacked, and then there. And matter of fact, I would like to ask you, where's those people at today? Okay, there's no more sacrifice, so the Jews just disappeared. The Israelites just disappeared, or are they under different things? You know what I mean? Like the priests, for instance. Now, the sacrifice thing was the priest thing. That's all they ever did. So it's not possible that they went into Africa and was using the priestly things and mixed it with certain things, and now you got voodoo, and then now you got the Haitians that basically do pretty much still the same thing that the priests do. They make a sacrifice. They give them they're praying to a god or to a deity or something, and they're doing these things, right? That's not possible. I mean, so Deuteronomy 28:45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, right? Talking to the Israelites. This is Moses speaking to the Israelites. And pursue thee and overtake thee till thus be destroyed, because thus hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which I command thee and they and an additional to all these curses coming upon you, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed, which mean your children, Forever. So this is a sign that's on the Israelites forever, right? So vocab's not speaking about that. So when the abomination of desolation came and they took the thing from the temple, and the priest is no longer, matter of fact, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so Daniel 9:11, yea, all Israel have transgressed the law, right? By departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curses, come on, man. It just said it was going to be forever, shall pour upon us. Is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, right? Because it was Moses speaking, the servant of power, of basically our power, because we have sinned against him, and he have confirmed his word. By what? Putting the curses on us, right? By making us forget who we are, which he spake against us. So the Lord spoke against us too, but the Lord's gonna redeem his people, which are the Israelites. Not everybody spoke up against us. This is what he spoke against us. He's not putting what he spoke against you on us, and what he spoke against us on you. No, he's speaking to a particular people, and this is for this people, and this is for this people, and that's for this people, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, and against our judges, against our judges, who are the judges of Israel? It would have been the king, and then when we didn't have a king, guess who it was? The priest, right? So at that time, we really didn't have a king, especially in the time of Yahushua. We didn't have a king when Yahushua came until he was the king. But then even then, he didn't want to set himself on the throne. So even when he is the king of Israel, but he didn't take his rightful place as king in that time. So at that time, Israel didn't have a king. So who are our judges? It would be the priests. It would be the prophets, right? The prophets and the priests, or the priests and the prophets. And against our judges that judged us, right? So against the priests, the prophets, against all that, and this is against the judges that judged us by bringing upon us a great evil. 70 AD was a great evil, wiping out the because it didn't just only happen in Jerusalem. It happened all over under every place under heaven where those devout men or those God-fearing men was. They wiped all those temples out, right? It wasn't just there. It started there, right? For under for under the whole heaven have not been done as had been done upon Jerusalem. Under every place under heaven. And this has never happened to any other nation like this, which it says the same thing in Deuteronomy. As it is written in the law of Moses, all these evil, is it not written in the laws of Moses? All these evils shall come upon us, yet made we not our prayers before Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, our power, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand truth. And that's basically where we're at now. We're in a place and a time where it's time to understand truth. Right? And we realize we're that third temple, and we realize we did discontinue from our heritage, from understanding who we were. Right? Therefore has what? Let's go ahead and go. Therefore has Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, watched upon the evil that and brought it upon us. For Yahweh, our power, is righteous in all his works which he doeth, for we obeyed not his voice. Right? Yeah, to say there's no other places that says that we will lose our memory or not know who we are. It says Deuteronomy 28 and 28. And Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai shall smite thee with madness. Now, if you're an Israelite and then you don't realize you're an Israelite, that's madness. Right? And blindness and astonishment of heart. Right? Because why do you think Paul had to go to those certain places and basically break it down to them and let them know that they were Israelites? You know? That is madness. Right? Chapter 9, verse 5 says, we have sinned, right? Talking about the Israelites, and have committed iniquity and have done wickedly and have rebelled even by departing from thy precepts, which vocab calls Hebrew hopscotch. The precepts are Hebrew hopscotch because it's the way you're supposed to read the Bible, spoken of by Isaiah. Not unless Isaiah is not a prophet. Not unless Isaiah is lying, then and it's not line upon line, here a little, there a little. Maybe Isaiah is lying. And in Hebrew hopscotch, the precepts don't matter. And from thy judgments, right? Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, right? Because we had the prophets, which spoke in thy name to our kings and princes and our fathers and all the people of the land. Right? Here it is. O Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, righteousness belongeth unto thee. Right? Because the Lord kept his part of the covenant. But unto us, confusion of faces. Right? Which deals with, well, we're going to show you. We're going to get into it. See, the confusion. Confusion means shame, right? Shameful thing. It's a shameful thing not to know that you're an Israelite. When you're smitten with madness in your head, could you possibly not know who you are? Right? Is that not you being discontinued from your heritage? But it's nowhere else in the Bible though, right? Yeah. What? What does it say right here? Confusion. If you're confused or it's confusion, there's a chance you may not know who you are. Vietu, the Lord said, I will put these curses upon you forever. These are curses. You're going to have to go to your enemy. Right? Because even when Jeremiah said it, he said you're going to have to serve. What do serve mean? Slavery. Right? Unto us belong the confusion of faces. Right? So it means shame, confusion, right? Of faces, right? And, and of course we got Israelites that's scattered everywhere. So there's Israelites that do look like so-called white people. Israelites that do look like so-called Chinese people. Israelites that look like so-called Africans. That in itself is a shame. But also you just got the confusion of face, or the shame of you being a regular Israelite, looking like an Israelite, but in the land of your captivity, not knowing who in the hell you are, which they don't give you. They just give you some Africa nonsense. And there's so many continents and stuff in Africa. And then his thing is to say, hey, look, just embrace that you're African. Well, how could you do that? And they don't. There's not a specific place they're giving you. There's not a specific language that they're giving you. And then when you go back to Africa, to some of those places, a lot of them people are saying that they're Israelites. So you got a problem, vocab. There's a general big problem then, because if those places where you saying just be happy that you come from Africa, okay. How about I be happy that I'm Igbo, but the Igbo said that they're Israelites too. How about I be happy that I come from Africa and I say I'm part of the Limba tribe, when the Limba tribe said that they're Levites. So you're in trouble with the go to Africa tip also. So you either way it go, you're in trouble. This is confusion of faces as it is this day, right? This very day. So it is perpetual. So it is forever and it's perpetual and it can happen at any time. Oh, well, some of those things that they're reading, they're just reading in it, and those things already happened, and but there's something that's perpetual. Even it is to this very day, right? To the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and to all of Israel that are near, to all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries, whether thus has driven them. Why? Because the Lord put us into slavery more than just under the Greeks, more than just under the Romans. Even the Romans basically scattered us around the world. But you got to think the other nations that ruled over us scattered us all over too. Then the next one scattered us all over. And just silliness. Really fulfilling prophecy of what the Lord said, that you will be scattered amongst all nations. Deuteronomy 28 and 64. You know what I mean? But now we're bringing that out, and now it's, oh no, it can't be that. No. Wait. You're just some Africans. You need to just be proud of you. Country where the thus has driven them, because their trespass that. Because of their trespass that they have trespassed against thee, right? Yes, it says the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And heart means lob, which is basically your mind. So it's your mind, right? So see what madness is. I don't think they give you much in this, but let's see.
Strong's H 7697. Shigaon.
Right? It says madness, furiousness, right? Matter of fact, let's look that up, that furiously. Yeah, so furiously, right? And which I think that's pretty crazy, because it said that these things should be on you for a sign and a wonder, right? Don't they say we do this? It says in an extremely angry manner. So we talk like that, right? He furiously denies the claims. So these are things that they say, oh, well, why are you talking angry? And why are you angry out there? No, we're really just talking with passion, right? But we have surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. Of course we're angry, right? But this is how they, as a sign and a wonder, blindness is. Because remember, we know it's talking about lab, which is mind. So if you're mad in your mind, or you're blind in your mind, blind means you can't. Well, let's see. It's talking about blindness.
Strong's H5788. Ivaron.
They say Ivaron.
Second entry. Avereth.
Just blindness. It ain't really giving you nothing. Yeah, so this is a blindness. A state of condition of being unable to see, which that's normally what you know about, not being able to see because of illness, disease, congenital condition. Leading cause of blindness is elderly, right? People get old and they start losing their sight, which is normal, like regular blindness. But this is talking about blindness of your mind. So lack of perception, that's in your mind. So if you perceive yourself to be a Greek, but you're really an Israelite, that's a lack of perception. You know what I mean? Because of what I got. Or how about that? You believe yourself to be an African because these people say so. We don't know what we are. Just to say African as a blanket statement, right? But not give you anything. You took us from the land of Africa, but that's not proven that's who we are. And really, when you go into research, some of the slaves came from Europe too, right? Though you want to deny that we ruled Europe for 1,000 years, a lot of those dealing with the Stuarts were so-called black people, right? And they were rulers in Europe, right? But Esau is the unjust steward who's ruling right now. You're the unrighteous, unjust steward, right? But lack of perception, awareness, right? Aware of who you are. That's astonishment of mind. That's not lacking, not knowing who you are, right? The Lord said he would smite you with madness, which is talking about your mind, and blindness, awareness of who you are, judgment, ignorance. If you're ignorant, if you have ignorance towards who you are, and it's in your mind, oh yeah, well, which they have you that way, because just to say Africa, like a blanket statement, there's a bazillion places in Africa. So how can I be proud of some place that has absolutely nothing, no connection to me? But when we look through the Bible, we have all the connections to us, right? Like I would say, even if it was fake, even if you're trying to say, oh, well, we see how you have well, I have more of a connection with that than I do anything else. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4, and thus even thyself shall discontinue from thy heritage. And your heritage is more than just land. It's kind of like this. the Chinese people all left from China, and that land, you could technically still call it China, right? But it doesn't really have to be called China anymore. But if every one of them left, are they not Chinese anymore? You know what I mean? When they leave China and fly a plane, do you be like, nope, you're not Chinese no more. You're not a Chinaman. No, you say, oh, he's Chinese. He's from China, right? So just because we left the land does not make us not Israel, right? So, because, you know, the thing deals with culture, right? If I go to China, I expect to see Chinese things. I expect to see the nice little, the little robes. I expect to see the little little fan things. I expect to see Chinese people with chopsticks, Chinese food. I expect to see Chinese things. I expected to see them speaking Chinese, right? Because it's China. But not when you're discontinued. When you're discontinued from your heritage, that means from your land, you kicked off from your land. But because you kicked off from your land does not make you not an Israelite. That I gave thee and will cause thee to serve, which goes back into what it was saying in Deuteronomy 28. Serve them is going into slavery. Serve thy enemy, and your enemy ain't gonna fucking, oh yeah, I just need you to be an indentured servant. No, he's your enemy. Your enemies in the land which thus knoweth not. Continuance with what the Lord said all the way back to Moses. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Is that not what the Lord said? It will be a sign on you and your children forever. Right? And thus, not and thus, but thus saith Yahweh, curse be, oh wait, these are dealing with curses. Curse be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arms. And didn't we do that as Israel? We were trusting in Egypt. Oh, well, yeah, so-and-so, the Babylonians going to come against us. Oh, send word to Egypt and have Egypt come and help us fight this fight. Send word to this person. What happened to just putting on your sackcloth and praying because the Most High delivered us from everything else thus far? But all of a sudden, we're trusting in man. So you wonder why we got kicked off the land. Wonder why we were trusting in other idols and all sorts of different things. Why we got put off the land and why you're discontinued from your heritage, your memory of knowing that's not the only scripture. Right? Cursed be the man that trusted in man and maketh flesh his arms, and whose heart, which your mind, departeth from Yahweh. So all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well. Salutations to the Akim and the four ones preaching the truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To you Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn from your husbands or your spiritual leader and have come back to the fold in silence. Yeah, death to America.